The DNC is going to be insanity. In fact, it's already crazy in Chicago, and this thing doesn't even start for another couple of hours. Pray for the city of Chicago, or don't. I mean, they've pretty much done this. They've pretty much done this to themselves. What's up? This is Mark Kaye, Saves the Republic, and I'm Mark Kaye. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. With this DNC thing, I don't know what these people are thinking. I don't know what's going on there in Chicago, but it is one of the weirdest, wildest, most bizarre things that I've ever been a part of. I was at the last DNC, the last live DNC, which happened in Philadelphia. And man, I thought that thing was crazy. And I was right. But this time, it's 20 times as ridiculous. The protesters, 20 times the protesters, the causes that they're protesting for, 20 times more radical and out of control. The costumes. I mean, it is insanity. We're going to get to all this here. Here's what happened. First of all, the protesters showed up before the event even started, and they started doing their protester thing. Go back home or we'll bring the war home. Basically what they're saying, first thing he says is piggy, piggy, go back home, which he's yelling at a line of Chicago police officers. And I have to imagine that these Chicago police officers are home. They're in the city of Chicago. That's where they live. I mean, if you're a Chicago police officer, you're home. And the protesters, I imagine, are bussed in from all over the country. These protesters, they're not from Chicago. They were brought in from all parts. They were brought in from New York and California and Portland, Oregon, God knows where. And they were put on a bus. They were given a stipend. They were given bullhorns and all the batteries they need. And they were told to go and stand there and yell, piggy, piggy, go back home or we'll bring the war home. DNC, go back home. DNC's home. Chicago is one of the most liberal cities in the country. It's the home of Barack Obama. It's the home of Oprah Winfrey. And it's one of the reasons why they chose the city of Chicago for the DNC. That's one of the big reasons, because it is, in my humble opinion, pretty much right now the motherland of the Democrat Party. So you got those protesters. Then you've got the other protesters, which I'm going to be honest with. These are more like the clown protesters. These are the protesters that I don't really understand, and I don't know if anyone's gonna. I don't know if it's worth trying to explain it to them. But like, for example, you have the feminists and LGBTQ plus people for a free Palestine. And again, this falls under the whole, do they just not know? You know, like, are they not aware of what happens in Palestine to women and to LGBTQ plus members? These are, you know, it's the irony of this is not lost, hopefully, on everybody, but it is totally lost on them. If any of those people showed up in Palestine, they would be treated, well, you know, like dogs. They would be, I mean, they literally behead people in Palestine for being gay. This is another one of my favorites. These are the abortion pills walking down the street. These are people dressed up as abortion pills. I don't want to assume their gender. They look like women, but I think there's a dude in the back there. Mifepristone or whatever it is, and miso. I thought this was miso soup at first when I looked at it, but these are women in big abortion pill costumes, and they're just casually strolling down the street of Chicago at the DNC. I guess because I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't even really know why. Maybe because they couldn't get an appointment at the abortion bus. Did you see this? This is happening too at Chicago. This is the Planned Parenthood Mobile Abortion and Vasectomy Unit. Okay. So much like they have the Bloodmobile, you know, the Bloodmobile where they go around and they, the Red Cross gets to the Bloodmobile, you give blood and they take it and they help people that need blood transfusions and they're getting surgery and stuff like that. No, this is a mobile abortion and vasectomy bus. And Planned Parenthood said, look, we're going to take this thing to Chicago. Okay, this bus is going to be in Chicago, and we're going to be doing mobile abortions, and we're going to be doing mobile vasectomies. Because I'll be honest with you, nothing says safe to me like getting an abortion or a vasectomy in an old Winnebago parked on a street corner in downtown Chicago. That just seems totally safe when there's protesters all around. That is a great idea. If you want somebody digging around inside of you with your reproductive organs, nothing says that's the kind of thing you want done in a mobile clinic. Now, they posted this a couple days ago. They mentioned they were going to be there in Chicago. And unfortunately, if you're thinking, oh, great idea, I could use, because it's free too. All of the abortions and vasectomies they're doing are free. It's like a little bonus. So you go, you get pregnant, you don't want to get pregnant, but you want to have all the sex in the world. You go in there, you get a free abortion, a free vasectomy. It's all part of Planned Parenthood's mobile, I guess you would say, outreach. And but all the appointments are full for the whole week already. Like, don't get on a plane. Don't start driving to Illinois. All the appointments have been booked. The bus will be, if the bus is a rockin', don't come knocking because you ain't getting in. There's so many people looking for free abortions and free vasectomies in the Democrat Party that thing is already booked. So just stay home. Not that you were going to go anyway. But anyway, that's a little bit of, there's so much more we got to get to. We've got to get to the rest of the DNC. We've got to get to, Mark Hamill being an idiot, Luke Skywalker. We've got some Donald Trump stuff from when he went to Pennsylvania over the weekend. And we've got, there's just so much more. The polls, I have to tell you, I'm looking at these polls and more every single day. I am so confident about the future of this country. When you look at Kamala Harris, who she started to speak. This is the problem with Kamala Harris. She started to kind of dribble out. She's setting up test balloons to see what works, to see what doesn't work, to see what's good, to see what's not good. And she's just falling flat on her face. It's so hard. It's so horribly miserable. It's almost painful to watch. But it's not, I still watch it because, well, I enjoy it and I know that you do too. And I want to bring it to you. Oh, and we have to talk about Doritos Gate. Doritos Gate is a big issue, but we'll get to that here in just a minute. I want to start by saying, first of all, thank you so much to all of the Catriots who watch this show every single day. Every single day you're out there on YouTube and you're out there on Rumble and you're out there on X. And I appreciate all of that. And we're always experimenting with new and unique ways to bring you this product. One of the things we found out over the weekend is we were approved, I don't know how this happened, for live streaming on LinkedIn. Okay, now, for those of you that have been Catriots in good standing for a very long time, you may remember I was kicked off of LinkedIn years ago. And I thought to myself, man, LinkedIn, I've been demonetized and I've been shut down and I've been canceled and I've been censored and I've been deleted from pretty much every single social media outlet and online, platform there is. But LinkedIn shocked me a little bit. I don't know how conservative I am or how conservative you have to be to get kicked off of LinkedIn, but clearly I pushed the boundary because they shut down my account a couple years ago. Anyway, they brought it back, and now I've been approved for live streaming on LinkedIn. And I thought to myself, well, I probably shouldn't do that. But then I thought to myself, you know what? Why the heck not? So we are live streaming on LinkedIn, which is I'll let you know how that goes. And I'll probably get a warning or two here before too long. But we're on LinkedIn today. So that's one announcement. The second announcement is because of the DNC and because of all the craziness going on, we've decided, and by we, I mean me and my wife, we've decided that we're going to start bringing you a weekly or a nightly rather recap. I'm sorry, that's all wrong. Oh, let me start over. Let me start over because I don't know. There we go. We are going to bring you a nightly live stream of the main stage events all 4 nights of the DNC, which means Monday night, tonight at 9:00, I'm going to start live streaming again. And on the live stream, you'll see me. It'll be like when we do the split screen. I'll be there and we're going to live stream what's going on with the DNC. And we are going to do, the Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'll be giving live comments. I'll be watching your live comments. If you want to tune, we'll be making fun of everybody. We'll be live fact checking because that's always a big thing. CNN loves to live fact check and MSNBC, they all love to live fact check. Well, now it's our turn. We will be live fact checking the DNC a little later on tonight, and then tomorrow, and then the day after, and the day after that. And tonight is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is scheduled to speak at the DNC tonight, which is bizarre for a couple of reasons. Because number one, he's the president of the United States currently. He is the leader of the Democrat Party in theory. The president of the United States is the highest ranking Democrat there is. And Joe Biden is the leader of the party, but he was given the worst night to speak. The best night to speak is Thursday. And if you remember back in 2016, Barack Obama, who was currently the president of the United States, came out and spoke on Thursday, and he introduced Hillary Clinton, who was the nominee, and it was this big Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton love fest, and then she went on to lose the election, and the rest is history. But this time around, Joe Biden is so damaged and so diminished and so unappreciated by his own party. Joe Biden, in the eyes of the Democrat Party, is the worst, not the leader of the party. He's the anchor of the party, meaning he's weighing everybody down. So they throw him up on Monday night, and then he and Jill are out of it. They're done. Jill will speak, Joe will speak, and then they're going to get on a plane and they're going to be like, see you, you know what, later. We don't want anything to do with you people. He's so aggravated and annoyed at Barack Obama for shoving him off the ticket. He's so aggravated and annoyed at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for forcing him off the ticket. He hates everybody. He kind of likes Kamala Harris a little bit. And she's going to roll in and she's going to watch his speech tonight and she's going to be there. And then he's done. He's done with the whole lot of them. He's going to go back to DC or Delaware or wherever the hell he happens to go to, and he's going to probably not even watch the rest of the convention. And on Thursday night, when she accepts the nomination that Joe Biden felt he was going to be accepting, that Joe Biden felt he was of right mind and body and spirit and soul to accept, Joe Biden thought he had 4 more years in him, but the rest of the party said, you got another thing coming. And so now he's going to be sitting at home watching on TV. He will not be there when Kamala Harris accepts the nomination. There is a huge divide, a huge split in the Democrat Party. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. In fact, there's a huge split between, the pro-Palestinian and the pro-Israeli forces of the Democrat Party, but there's also a huge split between Joe Biden and the rest of the leadership. It's really going to be. It's also, this is kind of interesting, for the people is the theme tonight, okay? For the theme tonight is for the people. And the speakers are Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. Neither one of those are people that the people want to be leaders anymore. Joe Biden got booted off his ticket and Hillary Clinton never even won an election for president. So their whole theme of for the people is kind of curious because the two people that they've chosen, the people said aren't for us. So move it along. Tomorrow night is a bold vision for America's future. And to present the bold vision of America's future, they drummed up a couple people from America's past, namely Barack and Michelle Obama. On Wednesday, it's a fight for our freedom featuring Bill Clinton and Tim Walz. Again, interesting because Bill Clinton is 77 years old, so I don't know what he has to do with the future, and I don't know who he's fighting anymore. And Tim Walz, having Tim Walz speak on a night called Fight for Our Freedoms is weird because this guy locked down his state more than anybody. He took away more freedoms than anybody. He locked you out of your house, or into your house rather. He locked you out of your school and your workplace. He forced you to wear masks. He had police officers shoot paintball guns at people if they did not comply. And yet he's going to be out there talking about a fight for our freedom. And then Thursday night, when Kamala accepts the nomination, it's going to be for our future is the theme, not to be confused with Tuesday night's theme, which is a bold vision for America's future. So a lot of future forward thinking while they haul out all these old, tired. I mean, think about this. They have a bold vision for America's future, and then they have for our future. And the speakers they have are Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, the Obamas, and Joe Biden. Where's all this young blood? Where's this bench? Where are all these Democrats we hear tell are the future of the party? They're trying to tap into Gen Z. The only other person they could have gotten who'd be worse was Bernie Sanders. This is crap. They have no Pete Buttigieg in prime time. They've got no Gavin Newsom in prime time. They have none of their young AOC. Of course, they're not going to let her speak. No telling what she would say. All of these supposed young stars, Hakeem Jeffries of the Democrat Party, the future of the Democrat Party, they're hiding them, and they're hauling out all these old bags of bones, and they're throwing them up on prime time. Anyway, we're going to be bringing you those live. So if you want to watch YouTube, X, we're going to come on Facebook tonight as well, which is very exciting. And then, of course, on Rumble as well, because Rumble, that's my boy. Rumble's my jam right there. So Rumble, YouTube, X, and Facebook tonight. That's where we're going to be live streaming, and we're going to do it each night of the convention. Now, if you don't want to watch live, but you maybe want to catch it later, or you want to get the highlights, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast, man, hopefully you're already subscribed to iTunes or Spotify or wherever. Hopefully you let them know I want this stuff every single day. And then if you're on YouTube, Rumble, X, or Facebook, or LinkedIn, hopefully you're following along as well, because we want to make sure that we can bring you this each and every day. All right, let's start today with, what do we start with? I don't even know. We have some Luke Skywalker, we have some Fox breaking news, and then we have Doritos Gate. Why don't we start with Why don't we start with Luke Skywalker? Mark Hamill, who you may remember as Luke Skywalker and nothing else. Mark Hamill, who got one job as Luke Skywalker and then was never able to get another job again. Luckily for him, he didn't need one. They kept just churning out these movies over and over and over again, although unfortunately in one of the last ones, I think he died. Ooh, spoiler alert. Anyway, Mark Hamill has come out in the past couple of years as a huge Democrat, huge liberal. Not just a huge liberal and a Democrat, but like not one of the intelligent ones. And he has been bilking it and milking it. And he's taken invitations to the White House, and he goes around, he travels, and he's at the DNC. They brought him into the DNC and they had him host one of these pre-parties or one of these, one of the before the events, there's like events. So before everyone gets to town, people are coming in early. It takes a couple days to set these things up. And when you come in early and set up, you're going to need some entertainment. So they host the delegates are all over the country. And they had the delegates come to this event. And unfortunately for the delegates, I guess the best they could get was Mark Hamill. So Mark Hamill comes on stage and he does whatever he does. I don't even know what Mark Hamill does. I don't know if he's coming in there and like lightsaber fighting. I don't know if he's moving things with his mind like he did in the movies. I don't know what his whole spiel is. But at the end, he said the following.
Force is strong with these delegates. And my message to MAGA, go force yourself, all right? Get out of here.
All right, so Mark Hamill says the force is strong with these delegates, which are all the Democrat delegates from all over the place. And then he says, my message for MAGA is go force yourselves.
Go force yourself, all right?
I mean, which doesn't even really work in the context. May the force be with you. I get what he was trying to say, but go force yourself. I didn't really make a lot of sense.
Go force yourself, all right?
But then it's, I wouldn't have expected any more from Mark Hamill. But that's not even the most insulting thing. That's not really why people are mad. Some people were mad going, I can't believe Luke Skywalker is ostracizing half of the Star Wars fans in the country by telling MAGA Republicans to go force themselves.
Go force yourself, all right?
No, what really annoyed people was that Mark Hamill was featured at something called Fan Expo. And I don't know if you can see this, but at his booth, it says autograph prices. 8x10 photo, $400 each. $400 each. A premium autograph photo is $500 each. I don't know what makes one photo a premium over, like maybe he uses a better pen. I don't know, maybe he writes your name on it. And then the bulky, I don't know what a bulky photo is, but the bulky photo is $700 each, limited quantities available each day. So people were like, they were looking at this going, whoa. Mark Hamill, who is probably getting paid from the DNC. Mark Hamill rolls into this Fan Expo and he tells people, if you would like a photograph autographed of me, it's $400. Does he not know that we are in an economic crisis? Has he not seen the inflation? Has he not seen the prices of everything? And look, I understand it. If inflation goes up, everything goes up, and the cost of autographed Luke Skywalker photos has to go up too. But $400? $400?
Go force yourself, all right?
That's what fans are saying. Hey, $400. Go force yourself, Mark Hamill. Force that. I'm not paying no forcing $400. You price gouging mother forcer.
Go force yourself, all right?
I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, everything is more expensive. In fact, Kamala Harris, I don't know, Kamala Harris did this weird thing. She gave a speech. You may remember on Friday, she unveiled her big plan to fight inflation and bring prices down. And it involved all of these Soviet Union of Soviet Socialist Republic style price fixing scams, and government price fixing. What do you call it? Government price caps. And so she went out there and she tried to tell everybody, look, we are going to set the limits on prices so that corporations bring them down, which is the worst thing you could do, especially when inflation is high. And it caused an outpouring of just hatred and disgust in the media. CNN, ABC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of them, the next day on Saturday said, whoa, Kamala's plan is awful. It's not just bad, it's awful. If you have federally regulated price controls, that is a recipe for economic disaster, and it's probably going to be the end of our entire country. In fact, the New York Post just summed it up perfectly with this cover: communism. Communism with a KAM. Harris unveils budget-breaking $1.7 trillion economic plan that includes government price controls. And it was very difficult. Nobody, CNN, MSNBC, none of these people could find a single economist that would agree with Kamala Harris and say, you know what this country really needs? You know what's going to fix inflation? You know what's going to bring down the price of everything? Government price controls. That's the ticket. You hit the nail on the head, Kamala. Nobody said that. Not one person wrote an op-ed about how brilliant her plan was. They all called it communism. I mean, they talked about a $1.77 trillion economic plan that includes government price controls. Clearly, if you're listening on the podcast, the New York Post, not only do they have Kamala Harris speaking, but they've taken the seal of the vice president and they've changed it with the Soviet hammer and scythe or sickle. Was it a hammer and sickle? Is that a sickle or a scythe? I think they're very. We'll go with hammer and sickle because sickle's more fun to say. But this just goes to prove that Kamala Harris has no idea what she's doing. In fact, in her speech where she unveiled this plan, this is ridiculous. In her speech, she started talking about prices as if she were campaigning for Donald Trump. Listen, Donald Trump took this and used it in an ad.
A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for throwing Joe Biden and your administration under the bus. She went to Raleigh, North Carolina. She stood up there. She said, here's my plan, government price controls. Why? Because in the last 4 years, everything we've done, everything we've created is more expensive. That wasn't all. There was way more. Listen, here's a mega mix of every instance in her speech where she said, we are worse off today than we were when she took office.
Everyday prices are too high. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. The bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication, the cost of food. A loaf of bread costs 50% more. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's a serious housing shortage. The price of housing has gone up. It's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. It is out of reach. The size of down payments have gone up as well. Costs are still too high. There's not much left at the end of the month, and prices are still too high.
I mean, all of it true, by the way. That's all true. She didn't lie. Everything's more expensive. The cost of beef is up 50%. The cost of food is up. The cost of housing, the cost of borrowing money. There's not enough houses anyway. Mortgages are more expensive. The federal interest rate is ridiculous. Everything. And it's horrible. It's horrible. We are all way worse off than we were 4 years ago. And this is what she's saying in her campaign. Does she not realize that she's the one responsible? Does she not realize that she's not new to the game? She didn't just fly in. She didn't just fall out of a coconut tree.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
You did not just fall out of a coconut tree. You fell out of the coconut tree 4 years ago, and you've been laying on the ground destroying our country for 4 years, and now you try to explain to us how you have this great system to change it? Susan Rice told us that Kamala Harris was involved in every aspect of this economic crisis, every aspect of Bidenomics, every dumb, horrible, ridiculous platform that Joe Biden has executed over the last 4 years that have put us in a horrible position. Kamala Harris was right there with him.
Kamala Harris has been an integral architect and executor of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration.
Architect and executor, meaning she designed it and then she built it. Although it's not really like building, it's like just tearing. It's like she designed it, she built it, and then the rest of us have to suffer as a result. It's on her. And she's out there saying, no. Everything's horrible, but it's not me, and I have a great plan to fix it. It's called communism. It's called communism. It's flat out. Everyone looks at this and goes, she wants us to be the USSR. She wants us to be Venezuela. She wants us to finally fall into the trappings of the third world countries that have been destroyed by socialism. And she's proud of it. And she doesn't really even understand it herself because She was asked about it. This is a CNN reporter asked her about her plan because, look, one of the big tenets of her plan, not just the government price controls, but she had the $6,000 child tax credit for newborn. So in the first year of life, you're going to get a $6,000 child tax credit. Sounds great, but that's a lot. A lot of kids being born, not as many thanks to the abortion bus that Planned Parenthood is driving around the country. There's fewer kids. It won't be as expensive thanks to the abortion bus. With the Planned Parenthood mobile abortion clinic and vasectomy unit, there will be fewer kids being born, so we won't have to worry about as much $6,000 child tax credits, but there's still going to be a bunch. And this reporter from CNN goes, hey, how are you going to pay for all of this?
I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it in the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of the work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. And when we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment.
Okay, return on the investment. That wasn't the question. We weren't talking about the return on investment. We're talking about the investment. Yes, there's a great return on investment, but how are you going to pay for it? We understand ROI. We're pretty smart. Let's say you go buy a house, okay? You buy a house, you need, let's say it's a $1 million house, you need 20% down, so you need $200,000. So you go out and you borrow, or you go out and you pay cash for $200,000, you put it down, you get the house for $1 million, and then 5 years down the road, that house is now worth $1.5 million. You sell it, you take out your 200, and boom, you've made yourself $300,000. You made yourself $300,000 off of your $200,000 because you pay back the mortgage, whatever else. We understand ROI. What we don't understand is where are you getting the down payment? She doesn't explain that. She explains, it's going to be a great investment in our communities, but where's the money coming from up front? Where's that $200,000? Are you stealing it? Are you printing it? Are you taking it from some other program? Are you just going to snap your fingers? No. You're borrowing it from China. And borrowing from China is always a bad idea because we never pay it back, and they know that. And all the money and interest that we're paying on this money to China, they're using to buy up American land. They're using to buy up American manufacturing plants, buy up American horticulture and meat processing plants. They're using it to build missiles and spy balloons and other weapon systems and build up their military. The reason the Chinese military now rivals the American military, and the reason the Chinese have an incredible navy with state-of-the-art ships, the reason they have ballistic missiles that can go intergalactically into space and hit anywhere in the world in seconds, the reason they have all of that is because of the money we've been paying them back on all the money we've been borrowing. All of the money we pay in interest to China, they've been using to build up a stronger military so that they can destroy us. They've been using that money we've been paying in interest to buy up American soil and houses and everything. That's one of the reasons the housing market is so barren right now. China's buying up all the houses. That's one of the reasons why prices are so sky high. And Kamala Harris wants to borrow more money so that she can give everybody a child tax credit of $6,000, which she believes will have a positive return on investment. So again, clearly she has no idea what she's talking about. We know she has no idea what she's talking about because she said a bunch of other dumb stuff. She was talking to a football team and she said this, which kind of was quirky.
And all that requires, which is the hard work, the practice, working as a team, knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game.
Wait a minute. Wait, what was that?
And all that requires, which is the hard work, the practice, working as a team, knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game.
Knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game. I'm sorry, that's not how the game works. If you are undefeated, you have won every single game. Knowing that you're undefeated even though you haven't won every single game, is not exactly how reality works. But of course, this is Kamala Harris. She doesn't live in reality. She lives in a place where you can lose and still win.
And all that that requires, which is the hard work, the practice, working as a team, knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game.
Maybe she's setting herself up for the inevitable, loss that she's going to face in November. Maybe she's setting up her team. Maybe she's setting up the Democrat Party. She's like, look, guys, even if we lose in November, just know we will be undefeated. Even if we lose the Senate, even if we lose the House, even if we lose the presidency, even if Donald Trump, even if we lose everywhere, just know we can still be undefeated. Doesn't really work. Doesn't really work that way. She also spoke off the cuff. She went off script in Pennsylvania. She was at some rally, and they had this really cool homemade banner. Somebody was like, I think they forgot the banner. They were like, Kamala Harris is coming out, and someone was like, oh, crikey, we forgot to order the banner. Quick, get a bed sheet. Kids, grab some paints. And they had this like hand-painted Harris Walz banner that they threw up in the background. But listen to what she said about democracy.
Our election is about understanding the importance of this beautiful country of ours in terms of what we stand for around the globe as a democracy. As a democracy, we know there's a duality to the nature of democracy. On the one hand, incredible strength when it is intact. What it does for its people to protect and defend their rights, their liberty, and their freedom. Incredibly strong and incredibly fragile.
The duality of democracy. Incredibly strong and incredibly fragile. First of all, by the way, we live in a republic. We have a Republican form of government, but it's a democratic republic. And and this is something people they're always like, why do the Democrats keep calling it a democracy? It's because they're called Democrats. You have Republicans and you have Democrats. Well, this is a republic. So Republicans sound more like republic. So if you're thinking, well, we live in a republic, we should probably all be Republicans. Or if we live in a republic, aren't we all Republicans? The answer is yes. Every American citizen is actually a Republican because you live in a republic. Democrats can't have that. They need people to think they live in a democracy. So when you go to vote or when you go to join a party, you're like, well, this is a democracy. I should probably be a Democrat because obviously Democrats like democracy, which is what we are when we're not. We are a republic. You should really actually be a Republican. And more Democrats are becoming Republicans. This is an interview, I forget who it was, but they did in Wisconsin with a black woman in Wisconsin who typically, the polls would tell you, or the demographics would tell you a black woman in her 30s or 40s who lives in Wisconsin would be a Democrat, but not so.
I'm leaning towards Trump.
And why is that?
A lot of the stuff Kamala says is kind of like what Trump has said, like no taxes on tips was something that was kind of reiterated by Trump beforehand. She's just kind of been caught up in a lot of lies.
Yeah, she's been caught up in lies. I'm leaning toward Trump. Why is that? Why, as a black woman from Wisconsin, are you leaning toward Trump? Kamala Harris just lies. She stole no tax on tips from Donald Trump and she lies about stuff. And I don't vibe with that.
And all that that requires, which is the hard work, the practice, working as a team, knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game.
And that's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie right there, and the voters know it. They can see right through it, and they understand. They understand that Donald Trump, while Kamala Harris pretends to know stuff, Donald Trump actually knows stuff. While Kamala Harris pretends to know things or pretends to have a plan for the future, Donald Trump actually has a plan for the future. Donald Trump actually knows what Americans are feeling, why they're hurting. He knows how to fix it. He's got a bold vision for the future. He was also in Pennsylvania over the weekend, and he had a big rally, and he said some stuff that made way too much sense. Like this right here, as soon as I can, hold on, here it is right here, listen.
I will pass what will be known as the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act if China or any other country makes us pay 100 or 200% tariff. We will make them pay a reciprocal tariff of 100 or 200% right back. You hurt us, we hurt you. It's called an eye for an eye.
A reciprocal trade agreement, which means if China comes in and says you've got to pay a 100% tariff on these items, then we will say you also have to pay a 100% tariff on these items. Now, a lot of people are scratching their heads going, wait a minute. Isn't that the way it is now? The answer is heck to the no. That is not the way it is now. That is not the way it is now. That's the way it was under Donald Trump. Donald Trump slapped so many tariffs on China. He cut down the import-export taxes and the excise taxes. He was able to make deal. I mean, some might say threaten, some might say strong arm, but really negotiate deals with China, with Mexico, with Canada, with the EU, with Ireland, all of these countries that were taking advantage of us. China, the biggest of all. Canada and Mexico right there with us. Canada and Mexico are neighbors to the north and south. Oh, we're supposed to be this great bonded North American territory. We're all supposed to have each other's best interests at heart. Canada and Mexico were savage. They were savages. They were taking such advantage of us, and they turned the other. They didn't even care. Canada and Mexico were reaping the benefits of being our neighbor while we were bleeding, thanks to our so-called friends to the north and south. And Donald Trump came in and he said, NAFTA, you're out of there. And he redid NAFTA. He came up with this beautiful new trade agreement, and it's been working. And nobody can complain about it. The Democrats don't complain about it. The Republicans don't complain about it. Nobody in the United States complains about it. You know who does? Mexico and Canada. Canada's like, whoa, eh? Can we bring back NAFTA, eh? NAFTA was great, eh? This new one sucks, eh? That's how Canada feels about Donald Trump's negotiated deal. Mexico's like, ay, caramba, ¿qué es este? No, es malo. Necesito montanero. That's what they're saying. They are just, no wonder they're letting people just walk through their country into the United States, because they're so annoyed that Donald Trump negotiated a much better deal than Bill Clinton did. And that's a proven fact. Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, this guy is not a Trump fan. He's never supported Trump. He came out for DeSantis. He's a never Trumper. He's a New England Republican. And if you're a New England Republican, you're basically a very, very, very moderate Democrat. You've got to be pro-choice. You've got to be pro-welfare. You got to be pro all these things. If you're a Republican and you get elected anywhere north of Virginia, and probably in Virginia too, let's be honest. But if you get elected anywhere north of Virginia, you're not a true conservative Christian Republican. You are a hyper-moderate Democrat. But even Chris Sununu, who never liked Trump, came out against Trump, threw all his weight behind DeSantis, is now on television saying Donald Trump is the guy. Donald Trump is the way. Donald Trump has a plan, and it's a good one. And we know it's a good one because Donald Trump did it before.
We got a better NAFTA deal under former President Trump, NAFTA 2.0, which has been a huge success in a lot of different ways. And now we have to deal with the issue of China, right? That's a real threat, and making sure that not just the jobs are protected in America, but the workers are protected, and we can keep those dollars here instead of this massive trade imbalance. He's willing to talk about it. He's willing to take it on. Kamala Harris doesn't even understand tariffs, to be honest. Kamala does not even understand these international issues. And again, when her economic plan is being panned by even Democrats, everyone's wondering who the heck wrote this thing. So I think that gives everyone in America, every business owner, small and large in America, a lot of pause in terms of what she would bring to the table for the next 4 years.
I mean, Chris Sununu gets it. This woman in Wisconsin gets it. Donald Trump, the more Kamala speaks, the worse off it is for her. The more she tries to govern, the more plans she tries to come up with, the worse it is for her. This communism plan is going to be the downfall of her entire campaign because nobody can defend it. Not CNN, not MSNBC, not ABC, nobody. The New York Times, Washington Post, even Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu is like, dude, I don't like Trump, but he brought us NAFTA 2.0. It's actually called the USMCA, but NAFTA 2.0, we get it. And he's like, that's what we need. Kamala Harris doesn't understand tariffs. Kamala Harris doesn't understand trade. She doesn't understand the economy. Her plan will put us into financial ruin. And we can't have that. We don't want that. We want somebody who's going to make us financially secure. We want somebody who's going to revive our economy, not throw it further into the pits of hell. Now, Chris Sununu coming out on CNN in favor of Donald Trump like this, it's a big deal because New Hampshire, with its 4 electoral votes, is actually in play, in my humble opinion. Let me show you what I mean by that. If you go to the 270 to win map, it's 235 right now. It used to be 251 because they had Georgia solidly in Donald Trump's camp. They took it out. They're now saying that Georgia is up for grabs. I disagree. I wholeheartedly believe that Donald Trump will win Georgia. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it to him. But look at some of these other states, okay? Let's leave the Rust Belt out of it for just a minute. Ignoring the Rust Belt, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Right now, the polls claim Wisconsin goes to Kamala Harris. They say Michigan goes to Kamala Harris. They say Pennsylvania is kind of a toss-up. And then Nevada and Arizona both go to Donald Trump. Well, look at this. Donald Trump is 2 electoral votes away without any of the Rust Belt states. If Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania, she has 270 votes. But look what happens. Wait, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. But look what happens if we take out New Hampshire. If we take out New Hampshire, she has 266. Donald Trump has 268. New Hampshire becomes the critical state to win. It's no longer Pennsylvania. Those 4 little electoral votes in New Hampshire all of a sudden could push Donald Trump right over the top, giving him 272 without Pennsylvania, without Michigan, without Wisconsin, without Minnesota, without Virginia. Without any of those big electoral wins, Donald Trump can still hammer home a victory if he gets Nevada, which he's winning, Arizona, which he's winning, Georgia, which he's winning, and he turns New Hampshire. And New Hampshire is turnable for a couple of reasons. Let me reset the map for you. Right now, they are slightly leaning blue. They're leaning toward the Democrats. They're leaning Kamala, but they are nowhere near Kamala Harris territory. And New Hampshire is a more purple state than any of the others, I think, currently on the map. New Hampshire, if anyone's going to turn New Hampshire red, it's going to be Donald Trump. And if Chris Sununu, who is a very, very popular governor, I mean, he's a Republican, he's popular, and he's now coming out openly in support of Donald Trump. And if Kamala keeps running around talking about these ridiculous, child tax credits and these price controls, New Hampshire ain't playing, man. They are a bastion of free economy. They have no sales tax in New Hampshire. They have no income tax. I'm sorry, they have no income tax. Delaware has no sales tax. They have no income tax in New Hampshire. Their motto is live free or die. Of all the states up here, they're the most likely to vote Republican. And if they give Donald Trump those 4 votes and he gets these other 3 states where he's leading, it's game over. Pennsylvania no longer becomes the only state that somebody needs to win. In fact, Kamala Harris can have it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't even think that's the case. I think Donald Trump wins New Hampshire. I think Donald Trump wins Georgia. I think he wins Arizona, Nevada. I think he gets Pennsylvania, and I think he could get Wisconsin, maybe not Michigan. Michigan could be a lost cause. But look at this. That's over 300 electoral votes. That's a landslide victory. That's a mandate. And the more that Kamala Harris goes out there and tries to talk to the commoner, the more she goes out there and she tries to act smart, the dumber she becomes, and the more people are going to start to see through it. Which brings me to Doritos Gate. But before we get to Doritos Gate, let me just show you something real quick. The Mark Kaye shop. I have some photos. We got our first order because we order, that's just like you. I have to order a bunch of these things. I have to get samples, and they finally came in. And man, we got a sample of the Brighter Future Signature Terry cloth hoodie that I got it for my wife. My daughter stole it. And so I said, well, if you're stealing these, if you're going to steal this, we're going to take some photos of you. And later on today, I'll share some photos, maybe tonight during the DNC. But this thing is, first of all, she wore it all day. She loved it. She fell in love with this thing. She wore this, she put it on, wore it all day. It's pink, it's cozy, it's comfy, it's lightweight, it looks great. And it's got Donald Trump's iconic statement from the RNC on there.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
And so she loved it. Now, I also bought myself something. I bought myself the Brighter Future camo tee because this thing is just cool. It's a camo t-shirt. It's one of those really soft, really nice, breathable t-shirts. It's got my name on the front, the signature on the front. And then on the back, we've put that same Donald Trump quote, which again is iconic.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
That was Donald Trump at the RNC in Milwaukee. We put it on a t-shirt. And of course, I got this t-shirt. I got it out of the box, and my daughter stole this one too. So I got pictures of her wearing Anyway, we have a lot of pictures of my daughter in stolen clothes. Also, you may notice, now this one I kept for myself, this new hat, the Mark Kaye signature line hat, which is right here at the bottom. This is the Mark Kaye signature line is something that we came up with. And I have to tell you, it's one of my favorites. And this hat, the signature rope cap, if you look at it, I haven't taken this off. And my daughter tried to steal this one too. I said, this one's mine. But it's a high quality. It's got that luxe feel to it, that luxurious kind of silky feel to it. It's got the rope, which is kind of a throwback, but also the rope caps are in, man. It's like that old school golfer or yachting type cap. And it's so comfortable. It's so breathable. It's got the Mark Kaye signature logo on the front. And these are available right now. If you're looking at that hat, and again, like I've gotten so many compliments on this hat, and I haven't taken it off all weekend long. I love it. You're probably going to see me wear this hat a lot. If you follow me on TikTok, you've been like, man, Mark's been wearing that hat a lot. Yeah, I've been wearing it, like I said, all weekend long, and I will continue to. Now, the website to go to is markkaysshop.com. markkaysshop.com, and you can get anything you want. Look, people are buying decals, they're buying Brighter Future t-shirts. The MAGA King stuff is still there. The Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. I have a hoodie coming, which I'm going to wear as soon as that comes in. So go there today. Use coupon code Merry Christmas, and you can get 10% off. Merry Christmas, and you get 10% off of any of your purchases.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
In fact, you get 10% off your entire purchase. So if you're buying like shirts for your daughter, hats for you, a capron for the wife or the husband, whatever it is, you get 10% off your entire order at markkaysshop.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about Doritos Gate, shall we? Speaking of wives and husbands, Kamala Harris went to a Sheetz gas station while she was in Pennsylvania. This is something that happens a lot. The Democrats don't know how to deal with or speak to the everyday average American citizen, especially the ones in power, because the Democrats in power are all elites. They're all filthy rich. They all came from law schools. They all just went to Washington, D.C. They got more money and more power, and they've separated themselves from everyday common America. They take advantage of everyday common Americans, but they don't know how to relate to everyday common Americans. So They every now and then do something staged to try to fit in. And something Kamala Harris did was stop by a Sheetz gas station. You may remember Joe Biden stopped by a Wawa, which was a horrible idea. Well, they figured they'd do it with Kamala Harris and see if it worked out any better. And I guess it didn't go so well the first time because they did it twice. They wanted to make sure the optics were right, so they did it twice. The first time that Kamala Harris went in, she went in with her husband, Doug Emhoff.
Doritos. Ah, Dougie, there they are. Yeah, thank you.
I know you want those.
Okay, so she walks into the Sheetz because she wants Doritos. And she's trying to walk around. She's acting like a regular old Joe, and she's trying to look for Doritos. And her husband, Doug Emhoff, finds the Doritos for her, and she goes, "Oh, Dougie, you found the Dorito."
Doritos. Ah, Dougie, there they are.
But I guess they didn't like it, or they didn't think that was going to print well, or they realized they should probably be promoting Tim Walz. So they did it again. And this time, instead of getting Doritos from her husband, Doug Emhoff, she got Doritos from her wife, Tim Walz. Oh, let me play that. Hold on, I have that clip for you here. Here it is. This is Tim Walz.
You see corn nuts over there,
Isn't this it?
Oh, yeah, that's
the big.
There you go.
That's funny. You see corn nuts over there?
And she's already got the bag of Doritos from her husband in her hands. And then her wife says, "Isn't this it? You want this one?" So now she's got 2 bags of Doritos. So she's in this Sheetz gas station, and she's trying to look like she's just a regular old person on a bus trip, Because that's what regular people do on bus trips. Whenever you're driving across the country, you stop at a Pennsylvania gas station and you go in for snacks. And you go in for and you look around and you have your husband or your wife or both of them find you a bag of Doritos, and then you go and you check out. Now, this is ridiculous for a couple of reasons. Everybody knows that Kamala Harris doesn't buy her own snacks. Everybody knows the bus probably has snacks on it. Everybody knows that if Kamala Harris were to stop at a gas station and go in, she wouldn't take her husband, her vice presidential candidate, his wife, the entire entourage, and a film crew in just on a whim. This is a pre-planned, staged event, and it's done so horribly that they had to do it twice. And whenever I see Doug Emhoff and Tim Walz, I mean, in every clip we play, they are standing in the background and they just look so downtrodden and so solemn and so emasculated. They're like eunuchs, basically. It's like they stopped in at the Planned Parenthood bus and they both got vasectomies because they just look at here's the clip again of the undefeated football. They're both in the background, both looking like they can't believe they're part of this ridiculous campaign, especially Tim Walz, because he supposedly was this great football coach.
And all that requires, which is the hard work, the practice, working as a team, knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game.
They're all staring at the ground with their hands crossed and they're trying to bite their tongues, thinking to themselves, what in the world is going on? When she was talking to the CNN reporter, trying to answer the question about how she was going to pay for her ridiculous communism plan.
I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be based, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools. Again, return on investment.
Tim Walz and Doug Emhoff, they both look like they just traded their life savings for a ticket on the Titanic. They're like, what did we get into? What are we doing here? What is this woman talking about? And we're all supposed to believe that she wanted Doritos so badly she made the bus pull over so she could go in and get some. I don't know. I don't believe this for another reason, because the last time Kamala Harris ate Doritos was, well, not a good experience. I don't know if you get the Kamala Harris fundraising emails the way I do, but let me just show you here. This was a story from The Hill, and it talks about the last time Kamala Harris ate a bag of Doritos. It was election night 2016. Harris says in fundraising email, she ate a family-sized bag of nacho Doritos on night of Trump election. Vice President Harris said in a fundraising email sent Friday that she ate a family-sized bag of nacho Doritos the night of the 2016 election. In the email, Harris questions whether recipients remember their own emotions and reactions to Donald Trump's win over Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton in that presidential cycle. It was election night for me as well, Harris says in the email. It was incredibly bittersweet. When I took the stage for my acceptance speech to represent California in the Senate, I tore up my notes. I just said, "We will fight." Then I went home and I sat on the couch with a family-sized bag of nacho Doritos. I did not share one chip with anybody, not even Doug. I just watched the TV with utter shock and dismay, Harris continued. Two things are true 8 years later. I still love Doritos, and we still have not stopped fighting. Is this like a brand deal? Are they sponsoring her campaign? What is going on with the Doritos? Product placement in an email. I ate Doritos as comfort food. I didn't share them because they were just so good. And in my lowest moment, when Donald Trump was accepting the presidency, or was when Donald Trump was declared the winner of the White House in 2016, all I had were my Doritos, and thank God I did. And now, all these years later, I still love Doritos. And we will still fight. And I love Doritos so much that I'm going to go in to the Sheetz gas station and I'm going to get 2 bags. Doug's going to get me a bag. And then Tim Walz is going to get me a bag, and I'm going to have so many Doritos because I love them so much. How much money is Frito-Lay? Is Doritos? I think it's Frito-Lay. How much money are they pumping into this campaign? I mean, I've seen influencers that don't. Kim Kardashian isn't as blatant when it comes to her promoting products that have paid her as Kamala Harris is. Clearly, Kamala Harris is on the take for Frito-Lay. Clearly, Kamala Harris is on the take for Doritos. Does she even know how much a bag of Doritos is? I guarantee they've gone way up, but did she mention that?
Everyday prices are too high. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. The bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication, the cost of food. A loaf of bread costs 50% more. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's a serious housing shortage. The price of housing has gone up. It's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. It is out of reach. The size of down payments have gone up as well. Costs are still too high. There's not much left at the end of the month, and prices are still too high.
$8.30 for a family-sized bag of Doritos. $8.30 for that family-sized bag of Doritos. Does Kamala Harris even know that? Does she know that a bag of Doritos is almost $10 now? Thanks to her and Joe Biden. And she wants to, that's why she wants to set up these federally mandated price regulations. That's why she wants price controls, because her Doritos, her beloved Doritos, are too gosh darn expensive. We need some communism. So, well, I guarantee that we're going to hear a lot more about Doritos in the future. There is some breaking news too, by the way. Remember, we talked about Joe Biden at the beginning of the the broadcast. And the thing about Joe Biden is now he's speaking tonight. And as I said before, I'll be bringing you that live. We're going to do a live stream. But wouldn't you know it, tonight, or today rather, the Republicans unveiled some breaking news about Joe Biden, which I have to imagine is not at all a coinky-dink.
This is a Fox News alert. All new this morning, House Republicans finding President Biden and his family received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities since 2014. Lawmakers call it an impeachable conduct.
I'm a little shocked how this is breaking news. I thought we knew about this for years, and I thought the rest of us were sitting around going, duh, when are you going to impeach this person? When are you going to impeach Joe Biden? We knew about the payments from China. We knew about the payments from Russia. We knew about the payments to all of his various different LLCs, the 9 or 10 different LLCs he had with various members of his family. We tracked the payments from Hunter to James to all the rest of the Bidens all the way through back to the big guy. We've known. Is this really breaking news, House Republicans?
President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and, quote, defrauded the United States to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democratic benefactors. And they say those loans have not been repaid. So this report says, in part, quote, as vice president, President Biden actively participated in a conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with his family's foreign business partners and speaking to them by phone, often when being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden.
This is not news. We knew all of this. We knew this was going on. We knew this happened. We'd read the reports. We've heard James Comer. We've heard Jim Jordan. We've heard everybody talk about this for years now. Now, all of a sudden, you want to impeach the guy. Okay, great. You're not actually back in session, though, for another couple weeks. You're not actually back in session. The House doesn't return to Washington, D.C. till after Labor Day. Are you going to impeach him then? Is there any point? He's only going to be in office till January. I feel like this story was released today because Joe Biden's going to be speaking tonight, and I don't really understand what the point is, but apparently the House feels that at this point now they're ready. They have all the evidence they need to impeach Joe Biden. That's a little bit of breaking news. So we'll follow that story along as well. Look, this has been just one of the hours today that you're going to be able to hear me. We'll be back tonight. We'll be back tonight live on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, and on Facebook. So follow any and all of those stations and or any of all of those social media channels, and you can watch us live tonight as we cover the DNC Night 1 for the people with Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and I'm sure some other whack jobs. Also, we'll bring you the latest on what's been going on. We'll tell you what's been going on with all of the protests and everything else. We'll tell you what's been going on with all of the marching abortion pills. That's a thing, the marching abortion pills that are going down. I don't know what else they're going to. I guess this is better than the vaginas. I remember before it was women dressed up as vaginas. Do you remember that? I guess now, thank God the vagina costumes have been retired. Now we have marching abortion pills that are going up and down the street. And you know what? I'm glad I'm not there. Now that I think I'm glad that I'm in the free state of Florida. And I will be watching the DNC live. Please join me tonight at 9, YouTube, Rumble, X, and Facebook. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following and you're liking. And if you want to throw us a super chat or a Rumble rant, we would definitely appreciate that, because every single dime we make goes right back into this show. And this is cool too. We also have all this great stuff that you can purchase for yourself or your family at Mark Kaye Shop, the Brighter Future collection from Trump's RNC speech. Don't forget to use coupon code Merry Christmas at checkout so that you can save 10% on your entire order. That's markkshop.com. Listen, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for downloading this podcast. Thank you for listening on iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you are. And share this, please, because we have a lot of Catriots. We have a lot of Catriots. There are new Catriots every single day. I know, because they tell me, they email me, they DM me. I just found you. I'm so glad I did. This is great. I started listening to your podcast and it's amazing. I want to tell all my friends about it. Please do, because the only way we're going to win, not just this election, but the country, the only way we're going to win our lives back, the only way we're going to make America great again and rich again and strong again, is if we take all this stuff we know, all this combative Christian conservatism, all of these constitutional ideals that our founding fathers put in place so that we could live in the most amazing place in the world and have the most amazing life and experience life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The only way we're going to continue to do so and save this country and win, and fight is if we do it together and if we do it every single day. It's not a one-time thing. It's a constant battle. And we've got to win. We cannot be we cannot lose and still be undefeated the way Kamala Harris wants you to believe. We have to win every single time we fight. That's how we will all save the Republic.